Hello, my name is Martyr, and this is Let's Play Knee Deep, and thank you for watching. Knee Deep is, for lack of a better term, guys, a visual novel. And no, not the one with the adorable anime characters and the jubblies, guys. This is more along the lines of, something involving murder and swamps and strange, Florida religions. It's something along the same lines as, other games you may have seen, like the Telltale games, Walking Dead, Wolf Among Us. The basic idea here is that the writing is the highlight of the game, and how you interact with the characters and the decisions that you make and the way that it evolves the story. That being said, guys, if you're looking to not spoil this game for yourself, you may want to skip this video because there's really no way for me to show you this game without spoiling the story in some form or manner. Knee Deep released July 2015. It was developed and published by Prologue Games. You can go ahead and get Knee Deep on Steam for the first week sale price of $25.49 or $29.99 normally. Now, let's talk about that price first and foremost. Just for you to understand, the money is all relative. It's all subjective. That as much is true. But the reason that has a little bit of a higher than average price point value is that this is actually the first act of 3. So when you're buying Knee Deep, keep in mind that you are buying a package. This is a game that will have consecutive storylines, consecutive DLC that's going to come out that will be made immediately available to anybody who purchases the game, and will obviously continue the story. From what I understand, there's currently no way to purchase an individual episode. And that's just the way it is, guys. You're just gonna have to take it or leave it. That's just the way the game's being sold, and that's the way we're gonna check it out now. So without further ado, if you want, you click on that big red button up there. It says skip to the action. Otherwise, we're gonna be starting off with the options, guys. And there's quite a fair decent amount of options. We have resolution control. As you can see, it basically does go up to 1080p resolution. We have anti-aliasing, texture quality full resolution, shadow quality medium. Why do I have shadow quality medium? Because I don't know why. I don't think it's necessarily that this game is too demanding upon my system. It's really not. It's a very simplistic looking game in general. But when I take the shadow quality and jack it up to high, my frame rates just tank. And I have no idea what's causing that. I don't know if it's on my side, if it's the game side. I just noticed it's something that if I kind of jack up too high, it really just tanks the frame rates of the game. So I kind of just left it at medium. It doesn't really change too terribly much. It's just something you want to keep in mind. I don't know if that's something that just needs to be optimized or fixed or whatever it is. There's some sound sliders right here, and that kind of includes all the options. The game does feature Steam cards and Steam achievements. For all you Steam-obsessed people out there. The game does feature controller support. It's leaning more towards the Xbox 360 crowd, but to be honest with you, you don't really need a controller to play this game. Playing a controller with this game is completely optional. It's not that big of a deal, because most of the time, all you're really dealing with is 3 buttons. And those buttons are not timed in any way. You can kind of sit there and noodle each decision as much as you like, and then finally make your decision. So I've been playing the game for about 80 minutes or 90 minutes or so. I'm in Act 1, Scene 9, as you can see here. I'm going to load up, and we're going to start showing off the highlight of this game, the enjoyable parts of this game. Now, obviously, a big part of this game is going to be its art style and its narrative decision. As you can see, it's kind of shaped and seemed like a play, and you're actually watching it from the perspective of the audience member, and things kind of change and shift, and walls lower, and characters sometimes are in the same spots, and it's very much feels like it's a stage play. What is the story about? Well, there was a murder. Well, not a murder, a suicide. A famous actor, or a disgraced famous actor, committed suicide, basically hung himself from a water tower, and then you play 3 different characters who are investigating this murder or suicide. Sorry, I keep calling it a murder because I think it's a murder. But you basically investigate this case from 3 different perspectives, because they all have their own different reasons for doing it. Like, one's a blogger, one's a writer for a newspaper, one's a private investigator. And right now what we're doing, we're playing the newspaper reporter, and he's basically trying to gather more clues and gather more information as to why that movie star killed himself. So we have several characters we can talk to here. And we will probably more than likely cycle through all of them. This isn't necessarily a game where you can go off the beaten track. This isn't an explorative adventure game. This is when I said this was kind of a visual novel. That's the reason it's very much on rails. You're going forward at all times, and even in the game it says there's no way for you to lose. It just basically says that how you go about it is basically what's going to change. I wouldn't be so quick to knock that Golden Cypress project, Mr. Bilal. Disastrous idea, obvious benefits, or can't fight change. Now, again, these are the different kinds of conversation choices we have. The game does not have voice work, and that is something that can be a little bit of a gripe. You will be doing a lot of reading. And I feel like definitely having voice work would have added a little bit more elements, added a little bit more, the ability to kind of get yourself lost in the game than it does with just necessarily reading it. But it's not a major complaint. It's just something I wish personally the game would have had, and it fortunately does not. So anyways, we have 3 decisions here, as you can see here. Again, we could be a dick, we can be, kind of passive. We'll see how we can answer. Okay, so I would say it's a disastrous idea. It's going to ruin us. We won't recognize this town when it's all said and done. That's my character currently. I'm playing Jack Belay, and I'm talking to Donovan Miller here. You struck a really pervy tone with that article. I wanted a shower when I finished reading it. Agree. Can I make you up by posting something else? We got a little clue up here. There is a little journal, by the way. That should be mentioned. And this journal up here contains all sorts of information that you've gathered on the case from all 3 characters' perspectives. So from Ramona Teague's perspective, from Jack Belay's perspective, and Casey Gaddis's perspective, I guess. I'm not really sure if that's his name or not. I think it is. But yeah, you can kind of go through this and kind of, read up on the story if you get lost. Or if there's something you want to just you don't think adds up, you can look through all these clues, and there's lots of different reading here. Ranging from, small things to, rather large things. It all really depends on what you click on. It's not necessarily anything that you need to do, to be honest with you. There's only been like one time that I actually felt the need to come into this particular screen and actually read this stuff. But most of the time it's just a collection of clues just in case you forgot something. I'd say that was an honor to be and a privilege to work with Tag. He'll be missed. Tag's the guy who killed himself, by the way. Again, spoilers. There's just absolutely no way for me to get through this without, spoiling a little bit. Remy Dixon, the owner of the diner. Remy, bet you didn't know Ted Bundy helped cops catch the Green River Killer. Give a belligerent answer? Not all bad, not a hero. Let's give a belligerent answer. I don't give a damn about serial killers. You want anything else? Scout burger, fries, worm mayonnaise pie? Ew. Worm mayonnaise pie? Is that actually a thing? We're going to be trying new menu experiments. Next time, shrimp in a used diaper. Questions? People bugging you with lots of questions about Tag Kern? Again, the guy that killed himself. Remy guesses that goes with territory. You got some? Thoughts on Kern? How do you feel about Kern's death? Remy liked Kern's early movies. Remy's not a fan of Meacham. Of course, still, Remy didn't want him dead. Alright, there you go. And we basically got a little bit more character notes, and that's pretty much the end of the dialogue, I guess. Not even a goodbye, have a good day. Can I get a cup of coffee? More of a just get the hell out of my face. I'm going to move on to the next person. And that is one thing I will say is that the narrative is very well done. And I think the story is very interesting, and I'm very curious to see where it's going. But the narrative sometimes is a little strange, the way conversations just end and you just go to the next person. I understand that it's just the way the game is, and it's very, it presents itself in a weird stage play fashion. It just sometimes feels disjointed. It doesn't feel necessarily real, but then again, it's a play, so I can't really knock it too much. It's just something you'll have to experience, and you'll see what I'm talking about as we move through the game here. Tina Gray, maybe Tag was right. I just didn't want to let it go. Sympathize, future, let's sympathize. Been there. Sometimes we just have to turn them loose. It's for the best. Tag didn't want to be loose. He just couldn't decide which prison was best, me or the church. Devotion, jealous church. Making excuses to go devotion? Aren't all actors narcissistic? How do you get past his ultimate devotion to himself? A girl can dream, Mr. Billette. And that's it. That's the end of the conversation again. He just kind of goes, turns around, starts heading towards the next story point in a way. And that's how the entire game kind of works. There's Casey Gaddis out here. I think this is the other main guy. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. Well, son of a bitch. It's just one of happy reunion after another in Chief Roadside's Wonderland. Dark Secret or high school? Let's go Dark Secret. Kept it to yourself all these years. I'm impressed and grateful. Last thing I need is an accessory charge, Jack. Still worried. I've thought about loose ends from time to time. It makes me nervous. You're creeping me out, Jack. What the hell was that? What are they talking about? Some sort of dark history. So, now that we've basically gathered a little bit of information, we're heading towards the next scene. The game has these moments where you're going to kind of make like a decision in a weird way. You're going to pick a thing that you learned from that particular interactions with characters, and then you're going to write something about it. Depending on who you're writing to, it could be the blog, it could be the newspaper, it could be who the private investigator is reporting to. And depending on how you report, it will change the outcome of how certain characters will react to you, possibly in the next scene or later on, or just in general how the story may shape or form. So an example, we got an early fan. Remy Dixon told Jack Bullet that he enjoyed Kern's early movies. We can go cautious and say, local fan reaction. Chief Roadside's employee Remy Dixon expressed his remorse over Tag Kern's death. Dixon finally recalls Kern's early cinema work. Or we can go inflammatory. Local didn't want Kern dead. Remy Dixon, chief roadside pop culture fixture, recently declared that despite his dislike for Kern's film, Meacham, he did not want to see the actor die. Like so many of Kern's fans and associates, Dixon's judgment of Kern by his last work often overshadows the actor's earlier accomplishments. Not wanting someone dead is not the same thing as respecting them. So there you go. Or we can go edgy, which is kind of like in the middle of the road. Let's go early fan. Oh, no. That particular one's not necessarily kind of a cutting edge, in my opinion, case. I don't really know what effect this has, kind of like in the long terms of the game. I feel like this does add a little bit of replay to the game if you want to see what different kinds of, things that you report have different outcomes. I think that can be very interesting as far as from a replay point. We're going to go with devotion, I think, though. Tina Gray told Jack Bullet that she held out hope that she could win Kern's devotion over the Church of Us. Kern's choice. Tag Kern's last girlfriend, Tina Gray, revealed more details of her relationship with the deceased. Gray stated that she wished she could have replaced the church in Kern's devotions. Tag Kern only had space in his heart for one thing. The Tina Gray, Kern's girlfriend, was not the thing that it would seem. Gray recently claimed she had hoped to win Kern over. Rather than lose his religion, Kern lost the girl and maybe his life. And we can go inflammatory. Love me! Who knows what the unloved are truly capable of? Tag Kern's former bedmate was distraught that she could not win Kern's affection away from the Church of Us. Did she drive him to his end with her desperate needfulness? Or did her obsession take a sinister turn? You can see how this is going a little bit, TMZ-esque. You're just going a little bit too far with inflammatory. I think edgy is good. I think edgy is going to be the good one I'm going to go with. Religion report, losing religion. We're going to answer our phone. Eventually. Answer your phone. Yeah. Let's not write too much about the Church of Us, okay? What? I hear you, boss. What the hell? All right. Apparently the Church of Us is nothing to be messed with. The Church of Us is basically, in my opinion, they're making fun of Scientology. It's obviously a joke off Scientology. We're about to switch scenes. As you can see right here, he kind of gets put on this pedestal, ramps around. Again, because this is a stage play. This is just kind of how it all works. Like I said, it's very strange. Graphically, I dig the game. There's sometimes where it looks really, really neat, and there's a bright amount of colors and the way things look. And the characters are very strange looking, though. Like the way the characters stare at you and the way their posture is a little strange at times. But the overall environments, I think, are very, very done very well. And I like them quite a bit. It happened not so far from here, about 30 years ago. Okay. I guess we're shaping the story right here. Tamara's brother or driving drunk? We'll say Tamara's brother. Tim Glynn. That was his name. He had it coming. All bullies have it coming. We were at Deep Spring. He was holding her head underwater. She could have drowned. I talked Tim into racing me down into Catfish Cavern. Put him in a chokehold until he passed out. Left him in a chamber off the side of the cavern. Just a tragic accident. Regrets. I wish I had done it. I had no right. What the hell? So here I am back at the Mohawk Inn. Questions or stalling? Let's go with questions. I'm still curious about a few things. The more I chase the story Ross wants, the crankier I get. So, the game does say it's like a swamp noir. And you do kind of capture that, again, through the character's, obviously, internal narrative, which is what we just did there. We literally kind of crafted the thoughts in his own mind. And in that regard, it's kind of neat. I dig that aspect to it. But as you know, as far as like being like a real noir story, I have yet to see that yet. But again, I'm only about maybe, I don't know, I want to say probably 40 to 50% through. I feel through the first act. I could be wrong though. The more I chase the story Ross wants, the crankier I get. Give a belligerent response. But he can kiss my pasty white ass if he thinks I'm going to ignore the real news in Cypress Knee. Maybe he'll fire me. Maybe that's okay. New opportunities. Maybe I'll get motivated to do something new. Maybe I wasn't always meant to be a journalist. Better dig a little bit more while I'm still employed. Check with Silloway. Let's see what Rutledge Silloway can offer in the way of news. There's a lot of characters' names that get thrown at you, by the way. I don't remember them all. There's a lot of characters in this game. From guards to diner folk. There's lots of different characters you're going to be interacting with here in this game. Evening, Jack. Ross, got your work in the tag current story like everybody else? Let's deflect, yes, or give a belligerent answer. Let's just give I think a belligerent answer is pretty much good to everything. He wants me to follow that bullshit story. I'm a lot more interested in gold in Cyprus. How's that news? Everyone knows the development's coming. Give a belligerent answer, to agree, disagree. Another belligerent answer. It's got to be more goddamn interesting to my readers than more ridiculous gossip about a dead anchor. This guy's pissed. If you say so, depends how you spin it. How does Ross feel about it? He's opposed. He's waving me off every time I bring it up. Maybe you should take that hint. Maybe you should kiss my pasty white ass, like I said. Okay, apparently now we're going to spit another news story. We're going to go inflammatory. Listen to that. Lilting Calliope? I don't know. Chief roadsides and aging leftover. Likewise, the Calliope of yesteryear whistles a bright tune signifying temporary merriment and the distraction of a circus or merry-go-round. In this case, the merry-go-round is media spin on the Gold of Cyprus project. Park owner Rutledge Silloway hopes the gliding distracts and dazzles. Let's just report that. That's going to piss off my boss, by the way, without a shadow of a doubt. Alright, Ross, you get my story? I told you to stay off the Golden Cypress. No one cares if no one cares. If no one cares, no one reads the notice. If no one reads the notice, you have no job. Am I clear? Agree. Crystal, but no buts, Jack, except for yours kicked in the curb. I'm serious. Got it. Jesus, what a dick. Such a sellout. Can it be more obvious that he's in Buckingham's pocket? If anyone's got it worse than me in this world, it's got to be Jim Larman. Who? A disgraced professor? Got busted for statutory rape and drug charges after a cocaine-fueled night with a teenage girl. Yikes. Not necessarily something you want to get busted for. You should be in jail. I learned the hard way not to piss off the wrong woman. At least I lived with the tale. Okay, agree. Always good if you're still kicking to count the scars. Tamara's still working you over with her claws, Jack? Let's deflect. You hear from your kids lately? Not for a long time. They don't have much to say to their father, the convict. Do I have any other choice than moving on at this point? I guess we're just going to move on. This is kind of it. You kind of transfer from character to character and repeat this process in a weird way. You just keep talking to characters over and over again, gathering different clues. Occasionally there'll be like a puzzle thrown at you. Like there was this one where I had to hack a phone, or not hack a phone, but basically hack using my phone to get this QR code so I can get into a police protected area, and that allowed me to get more clues. And it was kind of neat. I really enjoyed the puzzle aspect to it, and I wish there was more puzzles. I wish there was a little bit more interactivity with the player here. Most of the time you just pick a decision and then you're just clicking around and you just move from scene to scene. Nothing wrong with that. I'm still really interested in the story. I just wish there was a little bit more interactivity occasionally. Looks like somebody finally escaped from the bathroom. Eula Dean, town planner for Cypress Knee, Gary Buckingham's co-conspirator. My editor's not going to like me pressing the Golden Cypress issue. I need answers, though. I understand your concerns, Jack, but can't you see how good Golden Cypress would be for our town? Let's give a belligerent answer, because at this point, right, why not? Good for some people in Cypress Knee. Everyone else needs to lube up. Really, Jack, you're overreacting a smidge. Appropriate reaction? You don't have to like it to make it true. I hope we can count on your support going forward. Give a belligerent answer. I'll support any plans you have for going straight to burning hell. Wow! Dude, take it easy, Jack. Damn, this guy needs a Xanax. Jack Blatt, we must talk. Fine. He's only been mostly harmless, plus still no rush to get back to the office. I'd say I enjoy the belligerent answers by far the most in this game. You like get a belligerent answer, a cynical answer, and then or an insane answer. It's all hilarious. The game does autosave, by the way, so if you want, you could save and quit at any point in time in the game. And that is a welcome feature. You can also access the options as well. Let's go back here. It's not going to end. It's going to end in a cataclysm. Jack, let's go to agree. Everybody deals with their own personal apocalypse sometime. The spirits grow angry, or they will lay waste to the abominations that fester here. Agree. If I were them, I'd be pissed too. Free Jack Blatt. Take your family and escape the place while it remains within your soul. Do so. Crazy talk. Let's not go with the melodrama. When the time comes for regrets, remember you were warned. Agree. Roger that. This is the other main character, Ramona Teague, right here. You also play her occasionally. Oh, wow, you're the newspaper reporter, huh? Give a belligerent answer. Oh, wow, you're the toddler with the keypad, huh? Must suck to be you. Was there a reason for that in particular interaction? I don't know. It's sometimes rather strange. And now we're going to be playing Casey Gaddis here, the private investigator. And that's kind of just how the game flows, guys. You basically kind of go from, conversation to conversation, gathering clues, trying to put this story together. It's a strange game, not going to lie. It's not exactly the typical visual novel. It's not the usual type of game that you're expecting when it comes to these styles of games. And that's a good thing, in my opinion, but it can be a little bit weird at certain times if you're not expecting it. But again, I think it's very well written. I think it's a really interesting story here. There's a lot of layers to it. There's a lot of complex characters to it. And I like the fact that you can form and kind of craft your own story by either forming your character's own inner monologue or, choosing how to interact with different people and how different news stories that you send in change the outcome of different conversations. It has a lot of replay value. Visually, it could be better, but I think it suits the game for what it is. Musically, I enjoyed it as well. I just wish there was voice acting. I have to say that's one thing I wish there was a little bit of voice acting in this game, just to kind of draw me into the game a little bit more. And definitely a little bit more puzzles. But I think, this is just Act 1. Hopefully they'll, craft and hone the way they tell their stories as they move forward, guys. And I think you will enjoy this game too if you enjoy, murder mysteries, if you enjoy that, narrative where you're kind of making your own decisions. We'll go a little bit more forward here, but I think that's pretty much everything I have to say about the game. I knew I was wrong at the time backing Jack's play. Young and stupid. I should have known better. Should have stepped up, told people what I saw. Past is past. Got to wrap up this investigation, take the studio's money, and think about what's next. Give a cynical response. What's next I expect is yet another disaster. The dog's name is Gary Buckingham? That's a great name for a dog. Oh, okay. We're going to talk to Gary Buckingham. Okay. Game saved to Steam Cloud. Thank you. I'm pretty sure Rut doesn't allow pets in this motel. Give a cynical response, because that's what I like to do. Good to hear Silhouette's so picky about his clientele. Helps keep that 5-star rating. You're KC Gaddis, right? Yes. Sure feels like it most days. I knew your daddy back in the day. Your mama, too. Refused seating or foreclosed, sold the car? Didn't you sell that piece of shit used Buick? I'll have you know that was a quality automobile with the top of the line cataclysmic converter. I think you mean catalytic converter. Ain't got nothing to do with someone freezing up in shock. Gallant? So Jefferson Dean Gallant tells me y'all wants to knock down his house and tear out the swamp for a natural gas pipeline. Our ex-mayor is a real drummer queen sometimes. Don't you mean drama queen? Ain't got nothing to do with seasickness. Press on development. Is Gallant telling the truth? He's blowing it way out of context. I mean, yeah, his shack may suffer some structural and indignity issues, but he can build another shack. I suspect you mean structural integrity issues. Ain't got nothing to do with insurance policies. That guy's a moron, obviously. $50 a night, no pets. That means no dogs, no ferrets either. Give a cynical response. I wouldn't want my dog to get fleas from your rooms. Have we met? Racist history. Sort of, you set a cross on fire in my family's front yard back in the day. I'm an upstanding member of the Cypress Knee Chamber of Commerce. Never been in the Klan. Give a cynical response. The Chamber and the Klan aren't the same thing in Cypress Knee. No, sir, we've got at least 3 Jews and 2.5 Cubans in the Chamber. Maxine Esposito's mother is Chinese, you see. Golden Cypress, the big development across the road could boost cheap roadsides. Boost cheap roadsides. Maybe, might be the last nail in our coffin, too. Of course, they might buy me out. That'd be fine. And, again, you just bounce from conversation to conversation, switching between main character to main character. Mom's calling us. Hi, Mom. Keith Calloway Gaddis, you're home for the first time in, 5 years, and I have to hear it from Chief Pendleton's wife? Let's give a cynical response. Not like we talked much anyway. I suffered through 96 hours of labor with you, Casey. The least you could do is call and say hello. Really? We're up to 96 now? Dad told me 6 hours. The point is we should talk more often. See you soon. I won't leave town without seeing you. Better not, you'll make your mama cry. Okay, don't worry. Good grief. Alright, guys. Well, I think that gives you a pretty solid impression of what to expect from this game. It's definitely a game based off of its narrative. It's a game definitely based off of its story. And the cool part is there will be 2 more parts added to the game eventually that'll probably expand on things more and give you more insights into the story, guys. So I think that's going to be it, guys. I want to say big thanks to the developer for a chance to check out this title. Thank you for watching. Remember to subscribe and share, guys, and I'll keep bringing you awesome indie games, guys. If you really enjoyed this video, maybe consider hitting up that tip jar if you're feeling generous of heart. All tips go to improving the channel or future giveaways. Got a little tongue-tied there. Till next time, guys, play more indie games.